Beloved chosen one, pause, really pause, because this isn't just another video in your feed. This is a divine interruption, not a coincidence, not a scroll stopper, but a spirit shifter. Heaven has been trying to reach you, not just this week, not just this year, but possibly your entire life. And now, in this very moment, it speaks. That stirring you've been feeling in your spirit lately, the restlessness at night, the unexpected tears that came out of nowhere, the chills that ran through your body, even when the room was still. That wasn't anxiety. That wasn't imagination. That was divine alertness. That was the sound of destiny knocking. You've felt it, haven't you? That sense that something's about to shift, that something is coming. God told you, maybe in a dream, maybe through a whisper, maybe through a moment you couldn't explain. And now, it's not just coming, it's here. You stand at the edge of something holy and may not even realize it. But what if today, this seemingly ordinary day, is the disguised doorway into the life you've been praying for? What if this is the moment where everything pivots? And what if missing this moment means missing the very reason you were born? Let me be clear, this message is not for everyone. This is for the faithful ones, the ones who kept trusting when their hands were empty, the ones who held on to wild promises long after the crowd let go, the ones who stayed soft in a world that keeps getting colder. You were never overlooked, you were being positioned, and now heaven is speaking your name. Your time is not someday. Your time is now. Not next year. Not when you have more money. Not once you've figured it all out. Now, those spiritual waves you've been sensing, they're not in the distance anymore. They're breaking over your life. They're altering everything. This is the hour that everything starts to make sense. The delay was not denial. The pain was not punishment. The process was never pointless. Before we dive in, let me thank each and every one of you who has donated through Super Thanks. Your generosity is a blessing to this message and helps us reach more chosen ones across the world. And even if you haven't given financially, please know your presence here is already a gift. Every comment, every prayer, every share means more than you know. You are part of something sacred. So if your spirit is already responding, if you know this word is for you, I want you to comment 999 below. Let it be your confirmation, your signal to heaven, your agreement that you're not just watching, you're responding, you're stepping in. And as you do, someone else might see your boldness and find the courage to step through their door too. Now, breathe deep, lock in, because heaven is opening its mouth, and this time, it's calling your name. God's chosen ones, God told you. Something big was coming. It's here now. You've been crying yourself to sleep, haven't you, chosen one? Lying there in the dark, wondering if God still hears your prayers, if he still sees the depth of your pain, if that promise he whispered to you so long ago was even real. But what if I told you that behind the silence, something divine was unfolding? What if the stillness wasn't absence, but orchestration? While you were questioning whether anything was happening, heaven was conducting a holy rearrangement. Angels were being dispatched. Destinies were shifting. God was aligning circumstances, people, places, and even time itself, just for you. You saw silence, but the spirit realm saw acceleration. Have you ever considered that the quiet wasn't neglect? It was strategy. This is not a coincidence, chosen one. This is divine convergence. You are not behind schedule. You are not late. You are being divinely activated. That burning sensation in your chest at night, that jolt of clarity at 3 a.m., the vivid dreams you couldn't explain, they weren't random. They were whispers from the throne room. God was fine-tuning your spiritual hearing. He was teaching your soul to discern what your physical ears weren't trained to understand. Could it be that every spiritual glitch was actually a signal? Could it be that your exhaustion was not depletion, but elevation? Remember that vision he gave you? The one that came to you when nobody was around to validate it? The one that felt far too impossible to ever happen? That vision is not dead. It's not discarded. It has simply been buried, hidden like a seed under layers of pressure, developing unseen roots beneath the surface. You thought the silence meant denial, but in God's realm, delay is often depth. Heaven doesn't move according to your wristwatch. It moves according to divine appointment. And this moment, right now, is your appointed time. You're not breaking down. You're breaking open. You're not being tested. You're being trusted. You're not lost. You're being placed. Let me ask you something. Have you mistaken your preparation for punishment? Have you questioned whether your years of struggle were in vain? Because everything you've carried, every tear that soaked your pillow, every fast, every lonely prayer, it was seen, it was sacred, and now it is being answered. So pause, be still, breathe deep. Can you feel that tremble in your chest right now? That's not fear, that's confirmation. That's the Spirit awakening something ancient within you, something holy, something irreversible. You've stepped into your Kairos moment. Your someday is now, not symbolic, not hypothetical, not distant. It's here. And yes, the same people who called you delusional, the ones who mocked your relentless hope, who rolled their eyes every time you brought up your calling, they're about to see what divine vindication looks like. Those circumstances that mocked you are about to shift in obedience to the voice of heaven. Just like in the story of Mary, when Gabriel visited her and declared that she would birth the Savior, she didn't ask for a step-by-step plan. She didn't claim to be qualified. She simply said, "Be it unto me according to thy word." Luke 1:38. And with that one surrender, everything changed. Now, chosen one, the same invitation rests in front of you. Will you say yes without knowing how? Consider this. Could your heartbreak have been a disguise for heavenly training? Could the delays, the disappointments, the rejection all have been choreography? What if the door that shut wasn't rejection, but redirection? What if you weren't being overlooked but hidden for a time such as this, just like Joseph, betrayed by his brothers and forgotten in prison, only to be elevated in one day to the highest seat in Egypt? Genesis 41:41. His promotion didn't come despite the pit. It came because of it. What if your pit was just a platform in disguise? Let me speak directly into your soul. The waiting season is over. You're not getting ready. You are ready. The promise you fasted for, the miracle you wept for, the breakthrough you believed for, it is now standing at your threshold. You've walked through confusion, through silence, through divine isolation, and all of it has brought you here. Do you feel that clarity where confusion once lived? That strange calm that makes no logical sense? That's what it feels like when heaven manifests on earth. The veil is thinning. The light is breaking through. Maybe you thought the delay meant denial, but it was only a dispute. The resistance you felt wasn't a block. It was a battle. The enemy wasn't trying to stop the blessing. He couldn't, but he tried to delay your belief in it. Just like the angel told Daniel, from the first day that you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. Daniel 10:12. But Daniel still had to wait for the answer to break through the warfare. So did you. But now the delay is over. Let me ask you again, how many more signs do you need? How many more nudges from heaven will it take before you finally step forward and claim the inheritance that's been yours all along? What if I told you that the greatest enemy of your promise was not the devil? It was delay disguised as doubt. What if he never needed to steal your blessing, only to convince you you weren't ready for it? The truth is, you're not on the verge anymore. You're in the fulfillment. The door is not cracking open. It's already wide open, just like Esther, who had to step forward and risk it all for the appointed time. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. You are that chosen vessel. This is that moment. You're not waiting for prophecy. You're standing in its reality. So speak it, declare it, say it aloud. I receive it. I am ready, because when faith speaks, heaven moves. As Jesus said, according to your faith be it unto you. Matthew 9:29. And when heaven moves, nothing on earth can stand in its way. And just like Oprah Winfrey, who was told she'd never make it on television, yet became one of the most influential voices in the world, your purpose cannot be stopped by human doubt. Just like Nelson Mandela, who endured 27 years in prison before leading a nation, your delay is not denial. Just like Bethany Hamilton, who lost her arm to a shark but returned to professional surfing through unwavering faith, your limitations are not the end. And just like Colonel Sanders, who launched KFC at age 65 after dozens of rejections, your timeline is never too late when it's God-ordained. I know you're scared, chosen one. I know the cracks in your heart feel like fault lines that could give way at any moment. I know how hard it is to hope again when your past is paved with broken expectations and silent prayers that seem to vanish into the air. But hear me, the appointed time isn't coming someday, it's already here. That dream you nearly buried out of shame, that vision you tried to silence because it hurt too much to keep alive, it's not just awakening, it's roaring back to life. You didn't imagine it. You didn't fabricate it. You received it, and now heaven is confirming it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Habakkuk 2:3. So why doubt now when the clock of heaven is striking fulfillment? Do you remember Noah, chosen one? He was told to build an ark while the skies were still blue and the world was still mocking. Everyone around him laughed. His faith looked ridiculous. His obedience looked irrational. And yet he kept building because he trusted the voice more than the visible. For 120 years he was seen as the village fool, a man preparing for rain in a desert. But the moment that first drop of water hit the ground, everything changed. That wasn't just a raindrop, that was divine proof. This is your first raindrop. This is the sign that confirms every act of obedience was not wasted. Could it be that you've been building your ark in silence, preparing for something no one else could see? Could it be that now is the moment heaven finally proves you were right all along? Think about Jericho. The Israelites were told to march in circles for 6 days while absolutely nothing happened. Their legs were sore. Their minds were flooded with doubt. Their enemies laughed from behind the walls, convinced they were insane. But God wasn't late. He was layering trust, one step at a time. And on the 7th day, with one shout of obedience, those walls crumbled like paper. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down. After, they were compassed about 7 days. Hebrews 11:30. This is your 7th day. What if you're one shout away from breakthrough? What if everything you've waited for is just waiting on you to believe it loudly? Some of you have been carrying the weight of a promise for 10 years, maybe 20. For some, it's been your entire life. You've whispered through tears, God, if it doesn't happen soon, it'll be too late. But what if I told you our God specializes in too late? When Lazarus had been dead for 4 days and the stench of finality filled the tomb, Jesus didn't panic. He didn't pace. He simply called him by name and said, "Come forth." John 11:43. Time didn't disqualify the miracle. It magnified it. When Sarah's womb had long given up hope at 90 years old, God still said, "You shall bear a son." Genesis 17:19. And she did. When the disciples feared the storm would be their end, Jesus stood in divine authority and rebuked the wind. Time, chosen one, is not your enemy. Delay is not defeat. Your too late is God's perfect moment. Do you see now how he writes glory into the margins of impossibility? And now, I'm going to ask you to do something bold, maybe even uncomfortable, right where you are, whether in your living room, bedroom, or office. I want you to stand up. Yes, physically stand. This is not a metaphor. This is not performance. This is spiritual warfare in motion. And I want you to open your mouth and declare with every ounce of faith in you, "It's happening now." Say it again, louder. It's happening now. Because something changes when you say it with belief. The moment those words left your lips, the spiritual atmosphere shifted. Angels moved. Chains snapped. The heavens recorded your declaration. Because faith doesn't whisper into a void, it releases divine power. This is not hype. This is not shallow encouragement. This is kingdom-level transaction. Do you feel it? The tremble in your bones. The surge of peace that has no earthly explanation. When God says a season has shifted, it has already shifted in eternity. Your only job is to match your earthly posture with heaven's decree. This is alignment. This is synchronization with the will of the Most High. But don't forget, miracles require movement. The Red Sea didn't part until the Israelites stepped into it. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until they shouted. The prison doors didn't open until Paul and Silas praised. At midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken. Acts 16:25-26. Every divine move followed a human act of faith. So what about you? What action is heaven waiting for you to take? Think of the real-world examples that mirror this truth. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before creating the light bulb. Each failure a silent march like Jericho's wall. But then came the final breakthrough. Viola Davis, after decades of being told she didn't fit the mold, became one of the most celebrated actresses in Hollywood. Her shout came through persistence. Elon Musk poured his last resources into SpaceX after countless setbacks, and the launch finally happened on the edge of bankruptcy. That was his 7th day. And Tyler Perry, once homeless and rejected, watched his faith and storytelling build an empire that touched millions. His obedience looked foolish until the rain came. Chosen one, your foot is at the water's edge, and the moment is here. The winds have shifted. Your lungs are full, not just with breath, but with a battle cry formed in silence, carved in waiting. Your lips are trembling, not with fear, but with the praise that breaks generational chains. Everything, every delay, every rejection, every unanswered prayer was leading you to this divine intersection. But hear me carefully. This moment is not just about your blessing. It's about your assignment. And that assignment, it's so much bigger than you imagined. It's not about survival anymore. It's about legacy. It's about impact. You've been chosen not just to receive, but to lead, to transform, to carry light into dark places that no one else could walk into. Have you realized that the weight of your past was only heavy because your calling is holy? Let me speak to the deepest part of you, the part that still aches in secret, that pain. It was not pointless. That rejection that lingers in your memory like a bruise, it was strategic. Every slammed door wasn't a failure. It was a fortress set up by God to protect the path He prepared specifically for you. That job you didn't get, the friendship that betrayed you, the door that shut when you thought it would open, none of it was wasted. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." What if every moment you thought God was silent, He was actually directing you with unseen precision? What if your most painful detours were the very roads that led you back into alignment with your highest assignment? Think back. Was it really a loss, or was it redirection? That relationship that collapsed, it would have drained your divine strength. That opportunity that looked perfect, it would have pulled you away from the throne God was preparing for you. Delay is not denial. Delay is design. And sometimes the design is invisible until the very last moment. Do you remember crying on your bathroom floor, wondering if God had forgotten you? Do you remember watching others succeed while you wrestled in silence, whispering, "Did heaven overlook me?" But what if heaven wasn't late? It was qualifying you. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds you, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." What if you weren't skipped? You were sealed for something greater. Joseph didn't understand the pit. He didn't see the purpose in betrayal, slavery, or false accusations. But every chapter shaped him into the man who would hold authority over nations and rescue his family from famine. What if your pit was shaping you into someone who will rescue others with wisdom only pain could birth? Think of Oprah Winfrey, abused, rejected, and told she wasn't good enough. And yet, that rejection became the fuel that launched her into purpose. Think of Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, misunderstood and forgotten. Yet it was that long silence that forged him into the leader South Africa needed. Or think of Malala Yousafzai, shot for speaking truth, but her suffering sparked a global movement for girls' education. And Nick Vujicic, born without arms or legs, once asked, "Why me?" but now speaks to millions, proving that every limitation can birth extraordinary purpose. Chosen one, your suffering wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Your affliction was not accidental. It was anointing. That season of silence, it wasn't failure. It was the training ground for your voice. Jesus said in John 12:24, "Unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many." You weren't buried. You were planted. Do you hear me? That breakdown wasn't the end. It was the beginning of root work. You're rising now, not randomly, but because the soil you were hidden in has done its job. You were never forgotten. You were being formed. What if your sickness gave you a tenderness that heals others? What if your financial lack trained you to be resourceful and generous in ways prosperity never could? What if the nights you lay awake weren't wasted, but were hours where God finally had your full attention? Romans 8:28 thunders this truth. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who are called according to His purpose. Your tears were never pointless. They were irrigation for the garden God planted in your soul. Let me ask you something. What do you believe God was building while you were breaking? Can you now look back and see how His fingerprints were on every redirection? Can you feel that tremble in your spirit right now? That's not anxiety. That's confirmation. That's breakthrough pressing up from beneath the surface. Those tears in your eyes as you read this, they're not sorrow. They are birthing waters. You are laboring with purpose. The contraction you feel is not collapse, it's creation. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." This isn't the promise on the way. This is the promise breaking through the soil. The time is no longer coming. The time is now. Every closed door was not a denial. It was a training room for discernment. Every delay didn't weaken you. It gave you the stamina to carry what others would have dropped. What's about to open won't just be an opportunity, it will be a fulfillment. Can you carry it? Will you steward it? But listen closely, chosen one. There's something most people miss in this sacred season. It's a key, hidden not in actions, but in awareness. Many stand at the edge of breakthrough, but never cross into fullness. Why? Because they don't perceive that the wilderness is ending. They mistake the echo of past pain for present reality. But you must not make that mistake. You must hear me, not with your ears, but with your spirit. The shift is already happening, not just around you, but within you. Do you feel it? That holy urgency, that internal fire. You're not being called to survive anymore. You're being called to occupy. The land is yours. The promise is unfolding. The assignment is expanding. So rise, not just with your body, but with your belief. You've been planted, you've been hidden, but now you emerge. And the world won't be ready for the harvest that's coming out of your soil. Chosen one, your financial breakthrough is not something you're waiting on anymore. It's something heaven already released. Yes, you heard that right. The shift didn't start today. It began the moment you trusted God in the middle of your lack. That season of not enough wasn't punishment, it was positioning. God allowed you to experience struggle, not to shame you, but to shape your stewardship. He wanted to awaken a reverence in you, so that when the abundance came, you wouldn't waste it. You'd wield it. And now that abundance is here. It's not theoretical, it's active, it's alive. What used to take you years will now take days. Why? Because the same God who fed multitudes with a boy's lunch and turned 6 jars of water into the finest wine is now about to multiply what's in your hand. Are you ready to hold what you once only dared to hope for? Watch closely now. Provision will begin flowing from places you didn't even seek. Connections will show up without your effort. Opportunities you never applied for will begin knocking. This is not random luck. This is divine strategy manifesting. It's the downpour after the first raindrops. Maybe you've already seen hints of it. A refund you weren't expecting, a debt quietly cancelled, a discount that came out of nowhere. These were not flukes. They were the gentle taps of a floodgate cracking open. Psalm 115:14 declares, "May the Lord cause you to flourish, both you and your children." This is more than poetic encouragement. It's a living prophecy hovering over your life, waiting for your faith to say yes. The same resurrection power that rolled away the stone from Christ's tomb is now rolling away the stone of financial lack in your life. The grave of not enough has been emptied. This is no longer just breakthrough. This is overflow. So I ask you, have you noticed the shift? Have you caught the signs? Those sudden deposits, that divine cancellation, those quiet but miraculous provisions, they were all responses to your silent cries, your selfless giving, your obedience in drought. God saw you tithe with trembling hands. He watched you sow seeds while your stomach growled and your heart wondered how you'd make it to next week. He heard your quiet sighs when you longed to bless your grandchild, but your wallet said no. He felt the fear in your chest when you opened bills, praying for a miracle. But that season, it's done. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, and I will open the windows of heaven for you. I will pour out a blessing so great you won't have room enough to take it in. Malachi 3:10. That verse is not distant scripture anymore. It's your reality. Your name is on the blessing. Now, answer this with your spirit. Have you stopped believing for abundance? Have you started settling for barely enough? Have you accepted the lie that holiness means poverty and overflow is for others? That's not God. That's religion. Jesus said in John 10:10, "I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly." The original word used, persos, means excessive, overflowing, more than enough. You were never meant to scrape by. You were meant to manage overflow for the kingdom. But make no mistake, this abundance is not just for comfort, it's for commission. You are not just a recipient, you are becoming a vessel, a distribution center for heaven's wealth. This is about kingdom strategy. God is not simply increasing your standard of living, He's elevating your standard of giving. He's shifting your role from surviving to supplying. You're being appointed as a resource carrier, a funding vessel, an answer to someone else's prayer. That's why the wealth is coming to you, not just to bless you, but to flow through you. Think about Joseph. One day he was in prison, the next he was in the palace, managing the resources of a nation. Think about Ruth. One moment she was picking up scraps in a field, the next she owned the harvest. Think about the widow in 2 Kings 4, facing debt and despair until a prophet showed her the oil in her house. With obedience, that oil overflowed and paid every debt. Your breakthrough, chosen one, is not on standby. It's not dependent on the economy or your qualifications. It's here now. Heaven's economy operates on obedience and faith, not inflation and job history. Can you feel it? That shaking in your belly, that burn in your chest? That's not just hope, that's confirmation. I know this will challenge everything religion ever taught you, but I say this in obedience. God is about to make some of you millionaires, and not for ego, not for flashy living, but for kingdom expansion. The wealth transfer prophesied for generations, it's not coming, it's here. You've been positioned to receive it because you were faithful when no one was looking. Why now? Why you? Because you didn't break. Because you praised through drought. Because God can trust you not to make money your God. But chosen one, don't stop here. Because what's happening is bigger than your bank account. This financial flood is only the first wave of a much larger shift, a spiritual upheaval. The systems of this world, the structures built by pride, greed, and human hierarchy, are shaking. God is not tweaking broken systems. He is tearing them down. He's clearing space for what He has ordained. The banks, the industries, even some churches, everything that limited you, defined you, or placed you in a box is being dismantled. This is not evolution. This is divine displacement. And why you? Why now? Because the next generation is watching. They're not drawn to figureheads shaped by politics or popularity. They're drawn to voices forged in fire. They want leaders who have been through the wilderness, who've cried alone in caves, who've heard God without a microphone. That's you. You were preserved, not to blend in, but to stand out. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. You are not here by chance. You are Esther with divine timing. You are Joseph with hidden strategy. You are Ruth with loyal faith. You are David with hidden anointing. You are Deborah with fearless leadership. You are Elijah with heaven's fire in your bones. You were not forged in darkness just to disappear into someone else's system. You were not refined in pain just to fit inside safe spaces. You were not carried through trauma just to cower when glory comes. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to break the system. What if I told you that every rejection wasn't rejection at all? That every door slammed in your face wasn't punishment, but protection? Every season where it felt like others were being chosen, elevated, celebrated, while you remained in the shadows, was not abandonment. It was God's mercy wrapping itself around your destiny. You were being preserved, not punished. You were being shielded from systems that would have crushed your voice, distorted your identity, and chained your calling to someone else's agenda. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:19. The new thing is not on the way, it's already unfolding, and you, chosen one, are the vessel ordained to carry it. But let me tell you the truth many won't say. With great calling comes great conflict. The weight of your assignment attracts warfare. The higher your authority, the heavier the attacks. You've wondered why the opposition has been relentless, why relationships suddenly fractured, why financial hits came out of nowhere, why your body felt exhausted despite rest. This isn't just life, it's spiritual resistance. You are a threat to the systems of darkness. The enemy doesn't waste his weapons on the irrelevant. He targets the essential. Have you realized yet that the battle around you has been because of the weight you carry within? Old structures are crumbling, and heaven is preparing you to lead in their place. This isn't about building platforms. It's not about gaining followers. This is about divine authority, the kind that doesn't come from applause but from being sent. Moses wasn't the most eloquent. David wasn't the obvious choice. His own father left him in the field. Peter was brash, impulsive, unstable. Paul persecuted the very gospel he was later called to preach. But none of them were chosen for their credentials. They were chosen for their calling, just like you. Have you noticed how heaven keeps calling your name, even when you try to disappear? This generation doesn't need more personalities. It needs prophetic voices, voices formed in fire, voices that have cried in caves and still stood up to speak truth, voices that don't ask for permission to release what heaven is declaring. Chosen one, someone's freedom is tied to your obedience. There are destinies hanging in the balance, waiting for your yes. When Jonah ran, an entire city remained in darkness. When Moses hesitated, a whole nation stayed in bondage. So let me ask you, who is waiting for your voice to say yes? What family, what child, what community, what nation is standing in the gap, longing for the sound only you can release? That boldness you keep praying for, it's not on the horizon. It's being required right now. This is the hour when the chosen rise, not in pride, but in purpose, not with fear, but with fire, not unsure, but with the authority of heaven resting on their shoulders. Every time you minimize your voice, someone else remains stuck. Every time you stay quiet, a lie remains unchallenged. Every time you choose comfort over calling, the enemy celebrates. This moment is not about you alone. You are rising for people you haven't met yet, for souls that will recognize your sound before they ever learn your name. There are people tied to your voice, people in cities you haven't seen, people in nations you haven't even imagined, and when you finally speak, when you finally step into your calling, they'll recognize your sound and say, "That's what I've been waiting for." Remember Gideon? He was hiding in fear, wrapped in false identity, when the angel of the Lord called him mighty man of valor. He couldn't see it. All he saw was his background, his family, his lack. But God didn't speak to his limitations. He spoke to his potential. And God is doing the same for you right now. What if your greatest pain wasn't a flaw? It was a forge. What if your silent suffering was shaping you into the voice that will shatter strongholds? What if every scar was secretly building strength? Chosen one, the systems are shifting. The stage has already been set. Heaven is watching. A generation is waiting. And now it's your move. Before you take another step forward, I need you to decide something deep in your soul. You were never created just to maintain what exists. You were born to manifest what's never been seen. The question isn't whether God has called you. The question is, will you answer? This isn't information. This is activation. The world doesn't need more echo chambers. It doesn't need more influencers or curated messages. It needs voices that carry the sound of heaven, uncorrupted, uncompromising, undiluted. Do you see what's happening around you? Systems are failing. Institutions are collapsing. The very things people trusted, wealth, entertainment, even religion, are shaking under divine pressure. All the foundations of the earth are unstable. Psalm 82:5. This isn't chaos. This is prophecy. This is the time the prophets spoke of, when everything that can be shaken will be shaken, so that what is unshakable can stand. Why? Because giants are waking up. Because sleepers must be stirred. Because heaven is positioning you for such a time as this. Mordecai didn't flatter Esther when he said, "Who knows but that you were brought to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Esther 4:14. He was commissioning her, and I'm saying the same to you. This isn't flattery. This is ignition. Everything you've endured, those tears, those betrayals, those long detours, they were not setbacks. They were sacred preparation. You weren't being broken down. You were being built up. You weren't being overlooked. You were being overhauled. Your neighbors don't need a new sermon. Your city doesn't need more events. They need living evidence. They need to see someone who has survived the fire and still shines. They need to watch someone rise from ashes with power, not just stories. You are the proof that God still delivers, still heals, still sends fire, still raises people out of caves into kingship. Can these bones live? God asked Ezekiel. And now, heaven is asking you, can these bones, your family, your community, your generation, live again? You are the answer. You are the sound that brings dry bones back to life. Do you understand what's resting on you? Your yes will unlock someone else's prison. Your light will guide someone else home. But this is not about applause. This is not about popularity. This is about purpose. Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So, when was the last time your light made someone glorify God? When was the last time your presence shook someone awake from spiritual slumber? If you feel fire in your bones right now, if there's a weight pressing on your chest, that's not anxiety. That's an anointing. That's a divine commissioning. Don't silence it. Don't delay. Send this message to someone else who's chosen, someone overlooked, someone forged in fire, someone heaven has not forgotten. And now, chosen one, don't just read these words, pray them. Speak them like a decree from your soul. God, use me as a living light in this collapsing world. I surrender my comfort. I surrender my preferences. I surrender my timeline. I surrender the fear that tells me to play small. Make my life a sermon that awakens the sleeping, a voice that calls the dry bones back to life. I accept my assignment as your chosen one in this generation. Can you feel the shift within you as you say that? That weight in your spirit? That burn in your chest? That's not anxiety. That's not pressure. That is heaven resting on you. You are not just reading about revival. You are becoming the revival. You are not watching prophecy unfold. You are the fulfillment of prophecy. The days of hiding are over. The time of shrinking into silence is finished. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 61. I know it feels overwhelming. I know the weight you carry doesn't feel fair. Maybe you're thinking, but I'm just one person. I'm too old, I'm too broken, I'm too ordinary. But that's exactly who God uses. When he parted the Red Sea, he didn't call on a king. He summoned an 80-year-old shepherd with a stuttering tongue and a wooden staff. When he brought down Jericho's walls, he didn't use brute force, he used worship. And when he saved the world, he didn't do it through emperors or philosophers. He sent a humble carpenter from Nazareth. So why not you? This awakening that is coming, it won't be led by mega churches, celebrities, or influencers. It won't begin on stages or in headlines. It will begin in hidden rooms with hidden ones, those tested in fire, formed in silence and loyal when no one was watching. It will begin with you. But here's the piercing question heaven is asking. Will you answer the call, or will you be the one who almost changed history but stopped just short? And if you say yes, what will it cost you? What parts of your identity will need to die so the true version of you can live? What comfort zones will have to be buried so that purpose can rise? Because hear me, the calling will cost you, and heaven is not playing games. This moment isn't soft inspiration. It is a divine warning wrapped in mercy. Prophetic moments carry urgency. They demand not just emotion, but response. Do you know why the Israelites wandered for 40 years in the wilderness on what should have been an 11-day journey? Not because God was late, but because they missed their moment. When the 12 spies returned from Canaan, only Joshua and Caleb believed. The others froze in fear. And because of that hesitation, an entire generation forfeited their inheritance. So let me ask you again, how long will you circle the same mountain? How many times will you delay your destiny waiting for another sign? Even Esther, royally positioned, anointed and chosen, had to be warned. Mordecai didn't flatter her. He told her the truth. If you remain silent at this time, deliverance will come from somewhere else, but you and your family will perish. Esther 4:14. God's plan will move forward with or without you. The only question is, will you be the vessel, or will you watch from the sidelines? Chosen one, look at your life through heaven's eyes. Those rejections weren't mistakes, they were divine redirections. That heartbreak wasn't punishment, it was protection. The financial pressure that nearly broke you, it was preparation. And now the positioning is complete. This is your window. Don't miss it. Most people will. Not because they're evil or rebellious, but because they're distracted. They're looking for burning bushes while God is speaking through burning hearts. They're waiting for thunder while God is whispering at 3 a.m. They want neon signs. But heaven is looking for stillness and obedience. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. The question isn't whether God is moving. The question is, are you awake enough to see it? When Peter walked on water, the miracle didn't start with the water. It started in the boat, when he stood up while everyone else stayed seated. So I ask you, what boat are you still sitting in? What voice is convincing you to wait when heaven is shouting now? There are three kinds of people hearing this word. The ones who dismiss it, the ones who feel it but do nothing, and the rare few who act immediately. Which one are you? Heaven is no longer waiting. You must move. In Haggai's day, the people said, "It's not the right time." And God rebuked them, saying, "Is it time for you to dwell in your paneled houses while my house lies in ruins?" Haggai 1:4. How many more confirmations do you need? How many more closed doors? How many more dreams? How many more divine wake-up calls will it take? You feel it, don't you? That aching restlessness inside you, that sense that there's more, that you were made for more. That's not emotion, that's prophetic awareness. So let me ask plainly, what are you still clinging to that is keeping you from stepping fully into your call? The time isn't coming, it's here. The call isn't for someone else, it's for you. And the world isn't waiting, it's groaning for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God. Romans 8:19. What if the delay you've been blaming on God was never Him? What if your breakthrough has been waiting, not on His timing, but on your obedience? Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Revelation 3:20. Notice, He doesn't break it down, He knocks. The choice is yours. The invitation is open, but the door won't stay open forever. Moses had his burning bush. Mary had her angelic visitation. Paul had his Damascus encounter. This is yours. This message, this moment, it's your divine interruption. Will you press snooze, or will you wake up? Remember the parable of the 10 virgins. All 10 were invited. All 10 knew the bridegroom was coming, but only 5 were ready. The difference wasn't information, it was preparation. The difference was urgency. The difference was action. The days of comfortable Christianity are over. The days of polite platform-driven faith are done. Heaven is drafting warriors, not spectators, builders, not critics, voices, not echoes. You may not know every step. You may not feel fully equipped, but God isn't looking for polish. He's looking for permission. Chosen one, the season of hiding is over. The season of waiting has served its purpose. Now begins the season of manifestation. So, are you ready to step out of the boat? Are you ready to leave the comfort that became your cage? Are you ready to be the one who says, "We are well able," while others see only giants? Because the promised land isn't just a metaphor. It's your destiny. And the time to step in, it's not someday. It's now. Why does this moment feel heavier than anything you've known? Because what heaven is about to release will not be entrusted to everyone. It will be poured out on the positioned, the ready, the willing, those with clean hands, clear vision, hearts wide open. There is something inside you that has been asleep for too long, a roar, a fire, a command, and heaven has waited for the exact second to awaken it. And now it begins. You've been asking God for strength, but strength has been sitting inside you, waiting to be awakened. The righteous are as bold as a lion. Proverbs 28:1. Not will be, are, present tense. This is your moment. Now you understand why the enemy came for you so hard, not because you were weak, but because you are dangerous. The warfare, chosen one, was never random. It was revealing. Every attack you endured, every delay that tried to break you, every spiritual hit that came out of nowhere, it all pointed to one truth. You're dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Hell does not waste resources on the irrelevant. It saves its fury for the ones who carry fire, for the ones born to change bloodlines, nations, and generations. The enemy's rage was a prophecy in disguise, a sign of how deeply he fears what will happen the moment you wake up to who you really are. David was left in the fields, just a boy with sheep, overlooked by his own father, but within him slept a king. Hidden under rejection was a royal mantle, forgotten by men, chosen by God. So let me ask you, what if your perceived weakness is actually your weapon? What if the very things you thought disqualified you, your past, your pain, your doubts, were actually God's strategy to qualify you? Those nights you cried in silence, that was divine strength being forged in fire. The times you were left out or left behind, that was God hiding you from premature exposure. The moments you doubted your worth, that was heaven shielding your destiny until it was time. And that time is now. The world doesn't understand you, and it never will, because it's not supposed to. Diamonds don't explain themselves to stones. They're cut differently. 1 Samuel 16:7 tells us, "The Lord does not look at what people look at." People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. When others saw a teenager, God saw a king. When they saw a fisherman, God saw an apostle. When others see your scars, heaven sees your throne. Can you feel it? That trembling in your chest, that unshakable stirring in your soul. That's not anxiety. That's not adrenaline. That is ancient power awakening. It's the roar of your true self beginning to rise. The enemy has been studying you, watching you, not because you're weak, but because he knows what happens when a dormant lion finds its voice. He knows what happens when a chosen one stops waiting and starts walking in authority. So the question stands, will you stay asleep in comfort or rise in fire and become the very threat you were always meant to be? Your prayers aren't empty whispers. They are spiritual weapons forged in darkness. Your worship, it's not just a sound, it's a sword that shakes hell itself. Your testimony, it's not just your story, it's a key that unlocks freedom for others. You are not powerless. You've simply forgotten what's already inside you. Here's the truth. You've been fighting the wrong battle. You've been pleading for power that's already in your possession. You've been waiting for authority that's been waiting on you. You're not fighting for power. You're fighting from it. Let that truth burn away every lie the enemy ever whispered. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in you. Romans 8:11. Not near you, not around you, in you. He doesn't visit, he dwells, he moves, he operates through you. So let me ask you this. What would shift in your life if you stopped seeing yourself through the lens of your failures and started seeing yourself through the eyes of your Father? What if the pain you faced wasn't sent to destroy you, but to reveal you? The enemy doesn't fear your struggle. He fears your awakening. He's not terrified of your pain. He's terrified of you discovering your purpose in the midst of it. Because a sleeping giant poses no threat. But once awakened, everything changes. What happens when you finally understand that your assignment is not separate from your identity? It is your identity. You were crafted for this moment. Your name is known in heaven. Your existence is not accidental. It is a living declaration that revival is here. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Ephesians 2:10. In advance, before you ever breathed, before you ever failed, before you ever doubted your worth, your assignment was set in motion. The time for hesitation, over. The time for shrinking back, over. The time for wondering if you're enough, already answered. You carry the kind of authority that makes demons tremble. You carry the kind of wisdom that silences arrogance. You carry the kind of love that dismantles darkness. The power is not on its way. It is already here. It's alive inside you, and it's waiting for one word: yes. When Oprah Winfrey was told she didn't belong on television, her pain became the launchpad for global influence. When Tyler Perry was homeless, his rejection became the birthplace of his platform. When Nelson Mandela sat in prison for 27 years, the world thought he was forgotten. But God was forming him into a liberator. When Bethany Hamilton lost her arm in a shark attack, the world expected her to disappear. But she returned to the waves, turning trauma into triumph. What if you are in that same line of hidden warriors? Those God is shaping in obscurity so they can be trusted with authority. So now, chosen one, what will you do now that you finally know who you are? Because what's about to be revealed in your life isn't just another step forward. It's a full awakening. It's a spiritual eruption that will shake everything around you: relationships, assignments, alignments, and identities. The world you're living in isn't just in crisis, it's in transition. The chaos you see isn't confusion, it's divine dismantling. Old systems are collapsing, corrupt structures are falling, human-made kingdoms are being stripped down. But heaven is not shaken, heaven is rebuilding. And in the midst of all this, you've been chosen as a foundation stone in God's new move. Have you ever asked yourself, why me? Why now? Why weren't you born 100 years ago or 100 years from now? Because when God looked across the timeline of history, he saw you. He saw a voice formed in fire, a spirit that wouldn't break, a vessel he could trust with this era. He handpicked you for this generation. Just like Mordecai spoke to Esther, who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. That same prophetic whisper is echoing over your life right now. Your birthday wasn't random. Your survival wasn't accidental. Your journey wasn't coincidental. You are not a mistake. You are a mandate. You are not just the answer to someone's prayer. You are the result of someone's prophecy. You are the seed of revival God buried in the soil of this generation, and now that seed is breaking open. that ache in your heart for strangers, that burden you feel for nations you've never even seen. That isn't just emotion. That is a prophetic assignment encoded in your DNA. That spiritual ache you feel when you witness injustice, when you hear stories of oppression or trauma, that is not just empathy. That is divine permission. That is heaven nudging you saying, "Tag, you're it." But here's the sobering truth. If you don't step into your role, someone else will stay stuck. If you remain silent, someone else remains bound. If you shrink back, an entire chain of generational deliverance gets delayed. This was never just about you. You are a link in a divine legacy, a voice in a prophetic line, a carrier of something ancient and urgent. So what will you choose? Will you stay safe and unseen? Or will you awaken the giant sleeping inside your ribcage? Can you feel that question circling in your spirit? The same one that thundered through eternity in Isaiah 6:8. Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? That question still hovers, and now it's resting directly over your life. Let this sink in. Moses was 80 when his true assignment began. Sarah was 90 when she held her promised child. Abraham was 100 when he saw God's word fulfilled. So don't you dare say, "It's too late for me." Don't believe the lie that your window has closed. The enemy would love for you to believe that your greatest days are behind you, because he knows your real assignment is standing right in front of you. Noah spent 100 years building an ark while the world laughed. He didn't have evidence. He had a word. But the moment that first drop of rain fell, every mocker fell silent, and heaven's vindication roared. You've carried visions too big for others to understand, dreams too sacred to explain, burdens too heavy to describe. But now, heaven is saying, it's time. Joel 2:28 declares, "In the last days, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions." Did you catch that? The old men don't retire, they dream. This outpouring isn't just for the young and energetic, it's for the seasoned saints too, the ones with scars, with wisdom, with testimonies that shake the ground. That's you. Do you really understand what's at stake? Entire bloodlines, entire cities, entire regions are hanging in the balance. God isn't looking for perfect vessels. He's looking for willing ones. He doesn't need the qualified. He qualifies the called. Moses stuttered. David fell. Peter denied. But God rewrote history through them because they surrendered. So tell me, what makes you think your past disqualifies your purpose? The real question isn't can God use you, it's will you let him? History will record this moment. Yes, this very season. And when it does, what will be written next to your name? Will it say you recognized the moment? Will it say you said yes? Or will it say that fear wrote your legacy? All of creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Romans 8:19. Creation is groaning, not for perfection, but for revelation, for you to finally walk in who you already are. This moment is not about comfort. It's not about personal security. It's about your role in the greatest move of God this generation will ever see. So if your spirit bears witness, declare it now, for such a time as this. Say it, type it, shout it, let heaven hear it. Let hell tremble under it. And when you do, don't rise alone. Call out someone else. Send this message to someone who's been hiding, someone convinced they've missed it, someone who doesn't yet see the lion sleeping in their own chest. Because this hour doesn't just need a voice. It needs every voice heaven has raised up for this hour. And here's what many people miss about divine timing. When God says now, he doesn't just open a door, he creates a path where one never existed. That path is forming right now, before your very eyes. What once felt like tension is now confirmation. What once felt like restlessness is now alignment. Heaven is not quiet. Heaven is not waiting. The green light has already been given. For months, maybe even years, you've felt it, haven't you? That pull, that ache, that divine pressure on your soul. You couldn't explain it to others. They didn't get it. They thought you were dramatic, unstable, too spiritual. But you weren't dreaming. You weren't chasing fantasies. You were hearing the frequency of heaven. And now the oil is fresh. The heavens are open. The gate is unlocked. The assignment is active. And this isn't poetic fluff. This is a divine decree over your life. I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them, says the Lord. Ezekiel 37:12. So, what are the graves in your life? Dead dreams, buried hopes, prophecies left collecting dust? Look up. Can you see it? That green light shining over your calling, that gentle yes being whispered over your future. Heaven is nodding in agreement with everything the enemy tried to bury. This isn't revival you're watching, this is you. You are the revival, you are the confirmation, and your moment is no longer approaching, it's already here. Let me ask you something that may shake the very ground beneath your feet, something your heart might have quietly wondered, but never dared to say aloud. What if your waiting wasn't punishment, it was protection? What if all along, God wasn't withholding from you? He was withholding for you. What if the delay wasn't a denial, but a divine pause so heaven could finish building what you were called to carry? That waiting room you've been stuck in, feeling forgotten, overlooked, or suspended in limbo, wasn't dead space. It was holy space. You weren't benched. You were being barricaded from premature battles, unripe blessings and alliances that would have derailed your assignment. And now, chosen one, something is shifting. Right now, in this very moment, I need you to hear me not with your ears, but with your spirit. The gap is closing. The delay is lifting. I see it like a vision, a massive key, ancient and divine, turning slowly but steadily in a lock that's been corroded by years of disappointment, rusted with grief and jammed with fear. That key, it's your obedience. That lock, it's your destiny. And the sound you're hearing in your spirit, that low groaning, that deep internal rumble, is not your imagination. It is the sound of your future unlocking. But listen carefully, chosen one. A door can be open and still never be walked through. Access does not equal action. Favor doesn't override free will. That open gate requires one thing from you, the decision to move. You must make peace with the fact that stepping into destiny means leaving behind what is safe. You must walk away from familiar limitations. You must divorce the version of yourself that was built in survival mode, so the called version of you can take the throne. Do you remember the Israelites? They stood at the edge of the promised land, their open door right in front of them. God had already cleared the path, defeated their enemies, and declared the territory theirs. But still, an entire generation turned back, not because God changed his mind, but because fear shouted louder than faith. They believed what they saw more than what God said. They chose wilderness over wonder. What about you? Will you shrink at the edge of promise, or will you cross over? Jesus made it clear in Revelation 3:8. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Do you understand the weight of that promise? No one. Not your past, not your failures, not the people who left you, not your current bank account, not your diagnosis, not even the enemy himself. No one can shut what God has opened for you. So if the door is still open, what are you waiting for? Let me challenge you with this. What if you've been praying for God to open a door he already opened? What if the real delay isn't in heaven, but in your hesitation? Heaven isn't just looking for hope, it's looking for movement. Your faith isn't proven in what you feel, it's proven in what you do next. Will you step forward? Will you let go of what's behind so you can take hold of what's ahead? There's a reason the enemy worked overtime to convince you were disqualified. He didn't want you to realize that the key was already in your possession. He didn't want you to recognize that the hardest part was already over. That the crushing, the pressing, the silence, the waiting was God building something unshakable in you. And now that you're standing at the threshold, hell is terrified. Because once you walk through that door, there's no going back, and everything heaven put in you will begin to manifest. This is not about hype. This is about heaven's strategy. You are not waiting for permission. You've already been chosen. You are not waiting for signs. The signs are waiting for you to move. And what if your yes is the catalyst for someone else's breakthrough? What if your obedience to walk through that door triggers a chain reaction that sets others free? That's the weight of your calling. That's the power of your decision. So, what will you choose? Comfort or calling? Safety or surrender? Fear or forward? Because the key is already turning, the lock is already clicking open, the wind is already shifting, and heaven has placed before you a door so big, so wild, so unlikely that only God could have opened it. It's time to stop praying for what's already been released and start walking like it's already yours. Step through, chosen one. The door is open, not just a crack, not temporarily, but wide, undeniable, and divinely prepared with your name etched on it. You're not standing at the edge of possibility alone. You're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, by a divine community that understands what it means to hesitate, to tremble, and then to move anyway. If this message touched your soul, if something deep inside you stirred as you read, don't let it stop here. Send it on to someone else who may be standing right where you were just moments ago, on the edge, unsure, waiting for confirmation. Your act of sharing might be the very confirmation someone else has been pleading with God to receive. You never know whose life you'll shift with a simple act of obedience. So tell me, what part of this word echoed in your heart? What door do you feel God is calling you to walk through? Drop your response in the comments below. This is not just content, it's community. Because your testimony could activate someone else's courage. Your breakthrough could be the blueprint that sets someone else free. Don't keep it to yourself. If you felt seen, spoken to, or awakened, help extend that light to another soul who's still sitting in the shadows. You have no idea how much power your voice carries when it's aligned with God's timing. From the depths of my heart, thank you. Thank you for walking this sacred journey with me, for giving your time, your presence, and your heart to engage with this message. Whether you've been here since the beginning or you just found this space today, your presence matters deeply. If you've chosen to support this channel through a super thanks donation, please know how incredibly grateful I am. Your generosity is not only helping sustain this mission, it's helping propel it to reach more chosen ones like you across the globe. And if you aren't in a place to give, please hear me clearly. You are still just as valuable. Your prayers, your shares, your comments, those are gifts I cherish just as deeply. You are already giving more than you know, simply by showing up and receiving what heaven had to say to you. And now, I want to speak a blessing over you. May every closed door behind you make sense in light of the open one before you. May your steps be bold, even when your voice shakes. May peace settle over your mind like morning dew, and may power rise in your spirit like a lion from slumber. May you walk not just in direction, but in destiny. May your obedience echo into eternity, unlocking not only your promise, but the promises of many. And may you know beyond all doubt that what God began in you, He is faithful to complete. Philippians 1:6. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss what heaven is pouring out next. I truly believe this is only the beginning, and I don't want you to miss a single word that God is releasing in this hour. Every video, every message is a seed, and your spirit is the soil. Stay connected, stay watchful. Remember, chosen one, the door is open. Heaven is not silent. The light is green. Your time is now. Go in peace. Walk in purpose. And live with the bold confidence that God didn't just call you. He's walking through the door with you. Until next time, I'm praying with you, believing for you, and standing beside you as we walk this divine path together.